what to say, what not to say, and definitely how to say it. If you don't know how best to represent yourself, who will? How will you expect others to make a connection with you if you aren't clear about what it is you do, have to offer, and how you can help people? And sometimes how you help people is by asking them, because we don't always know what they want or what they need, so we just ask questions. And that's something that we talked about earlier in this section, about asking questions and keeping the conversation going, getting them to keep talking about themselves and what they need while we listen, So, what you say to others and how you say it, how you ask questions, how you don't ask questions, when to speak up and when not to speak up, will have a direct impact on your networking success. Believe me. For example, too much enthusiasm. Yeah, Yeah, fire hosing people with all you've got to say about what it is that you do and storytelling people to death without taking a breath of fresh air on your part, interrupting too much. All of that will surely get you fired instantly as a potential anything in the eyes of the other person you're talking to when it comes to you making the most out of your time at the event. When starting any conversation, like we've discussed, ask questions. Introduce yourself, sure. Say what you do if you have to, quickly, but turn the conversation around to the other person by asking questions. By listening first, you get more information to use when it's your turn to speak, and the other person feels compelled to listen since you were so generous with your ears earlier. By listening more up front, you can comment or reply more in detail to what the other person was saying to you. This goes a long way fast towards building instant rapport. Now, if the other person beats you to the initial introduction, that's okay. Then respond with the appropriate response, but then quickly turn the conversation back around to the other person. Don't talk about yourself too much. To generate even more interest in what you say, disclose just enough information to pique their interest and prompt questions. Give people more reason to talk to you by not telling them so much about yourself. Maintain an element of mystery about you to some degree. Answer their questions directly, yeah. But don't hesitate to tell about your experiences and successes, but then be a little obscure to incite feedback, curiosity, and contributions. Cultivate a conversation style of your own in this manner. I have, and it works wonders. I wrote a few networking books about it. If people want to know about you, they'll ask. If they don't, you don't mind, per se. You see, you're fishing for people that you can help, or indirectly can help you. What's more, people naturally gravitate to others in the room who exude a relaxed, calm, caring, and knowledgeable attitude with a little swag, a bit of savvy charisma, and the humble presumption of success. Can you be or model all of those qualities? Absolutely, especially over time, maybe not overnight. But think about all those things that I just said. People naturally gravitate to others in the room who exude a relaxed, calm, caring, knowledgeable attitude with a little swag, a bit of savvy charisma, and the humble presumption of absolute success. Also, don't go on and brag about all your accomplishments. Now, maybe you don't do this already. Good, but you've probably been in a few conversations where the other person did. And how did it make you feel? And that's the thing. Remembering how you feel when somebody does something, in a conversation it rubs you wrong. So you want to remember that and go, I am not going to repeat that. So this just goes without saying. Don't go on and brag about all your accomplishments, and don't steal the microphone, and don't be a fire hose and fire hose these people with all the stuff that you've done. I just bought the newest something or whatever. I've accomplished this and I've done this and I've done this. Okay, I. What's in it for me? So what value does any of that bring to building rapport? Nothing. People make statements like this because they crave attention, not you. There's no problem with mentioning a particular success you had, especially if it was related to how you helped others. But do so with the intent to share only if it might help the other person in front of you or someone they might know. Also, look at me statements such as, I sold 1 billion books in 1 hour with the click of a button. It can be more of a turn off than a turn on, unless you can show others how they can do it too. We want to include them in on the fun of that accomplishment. Here's the rule. If you have to toot your own horn, chances are there's probably not much there to toot about. Your actions and accomplishments should speak for you, not your words. Let others find out or stumble upon these facts about you on their own. It's so much more interesting. Be patient. Let that stuff come to you. Okay? When others boast on your behalf, it's because they respect your accomplishments. They've experienced what you've been through and are naturally inclined to tell others about you. They share in your success. Hey, so-and-so, she's so humble. You have no idea how much she can help you. She's really just holding back some. I know it. I know that about her. So go ahead, ask her a question and see what her response is. I know she's just going to blow the doors off you with whatever she advises you on it. She's really a great resource and a great person to talk to. Go ahead, talk to her.
How do you become extraordinary?
You do extra things that are out of the ordinary, like working harder, faster, longer than the average person out there. When others speak about you, it's credible and more meaningful to others because you naturally stood out among the crowd. Anytime you have that kind of community support, you should reciprocate by doing the same to others, helping them, lifting them. What comes around goes around, remember? So keep in mind, always, don't talk about yourself so much per se. Maintain an element of mystery, hold back a little bit. Let others do that for you based upon your actions and deeds and accomplishments that speak way louder than words. And people who know you, let them toot your own horn. That's the best endorsement you could ever get. Don't ask another question or start another story, especially if you want to leave a conversation. Now, this is true. We've all kind of been in this little situation before. You can get stuck in a group of semi-interested listeners if you're doing all the talking. Some people hesitate to move on for fear of insulting the person who's doing all the talking. Is that you? You're not doing all the talking, are you? Quickly assess whether what you're saying is of any value to those who are listening. Otherwise, zip the lips and do everyone a favor and wrap it up. Hey, everyone, I could go on. I would love to, but I'm not going to. So I'll stop here. I'll take a breath. And besides, I want to meet some of the other people here tonight. How's that sound? Sound good to you? Okay, hey, and if you want to know more, just tap me on the shoulder later. Find me somewhere here in the room, and we'll pick up the conversation right where we left off. But I do not want to hog the mic right now. I want everybody to be free and go, and I'm going to zip my lip right now. Go, everybody. Scatter. I mean, it could be that casual when you're talking to people. Loosens them up, makes them feel relaxed. They don't feel all pressured and Don't talk too loud, too fast, invade someone's space, or get in someone's face too closely. Not that you do this, but again, we've experienced people that do this. Bugs us. We don't like it. So don't you do it. Keep your distance. Arm's length. Respect people's space and speak slowly so people understand you. Your tone should be at a comfortable listening level. Clear and inviting to listen to. Even in a large crowd, there's no point in shouting because, no one's really listening. And at least move off to the side and start up the conversation again. Hey, can we just step over here? I'm having a hard time hearing you. The crowd is so awesome and they're just talking out loud. Here, let's step over here. Okay, great. I can hear you now. Continue. Be conscious of how you sound when you talk. If you want feedback, hey, ask someone you trust, someone you brought, a friend of yours. You might get a good tip to either slow down or speed up or pause more for feedback or speak up to be heard. If someone else is talking quickly, you can slow the pace down by how you respond back to that individual. I've been in these situations where maybe somebody was talking way too loud, too fast, and what I did was I started talking a little slower just to get them to mirror and match my verbal responses. Oh, really? I like that. In fact, you You can tell I was talking slower with, longer pauses between my words. But maybe that other person was just whoa, whoa, hey, relax. Talk to me. Just calm down. Sometimes I'm like that. So again, try it. I've made it work. Subconsciously, you're setting the tone of the conversation. A good thing for sure. Remember, control of the conversation. You can do it way much more with questions, not statements, and listening and not talking, and being mysterious and not being so overly fire hosing people with what you do and who you are. Talk in sound bites or in chunks of words rather than an everlasting flow of words people can understand and better remember. If you happen to have a few popular sound bites or catchphrases that you like to use in your pitch or conversations regarding your company, products, or services, use them. If they are catchy and easy to recite, people will remember them and associate you with them. A typical soundbite sounds something like, you have to tell it to sell it. Or, if we have to spend money on marketing, then we've got a problem. A few things like that. You can imagine. A few things like that. You can imagine. If you get the chance, listen to the news, TV, radio, and pick up on a few good presentation tips by those hosts and broadcasters. Listen to how the host goes about discussing topics and talking to guests. You might also practice speaking in interview-style sound bites that relate to what you do and use them consistently so others associate them with you. In fact, a lot of people might either consciously or subconsciously recognize that you're actually really great to talk to. Have you ever talked to somebody and when they speak to you, their words are choppy? And it isn't because of nervousness or maybe they don't have a stuttering problem or nothing, but it's just in the way they talk, and it's kind of hard to understand. If you know what I mean, it's just like they don't think before they speak, or they're not consciously aware, or maybe even care about how they're coming across verbally, or they're speaking too fast and their brain can't keep up with their mouth. The point is watch these broadcasters, watch these newscasters, and watch how they deliver information, they carry on a conversation, and they ask their guest questions. Now, again, by this, don't talk on and on. We don't want that. We want to break up the presentation into specific points and pause for the other person to get a word in edgewise. That is the most important and critical thing. Because in a short discussion, let's say 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you can't be taking up all that time. It's got to be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, just to establish some rapport and some commonalities and things in common, etc. Another aspect to conversation that is so important: do not interrupt other people when they are speaking to you or to anyone for any reason. Wait and just bite your tongue. Wait for an opening in the conversation. Interrupt only if you have to move on, or you have to leave the event, or you've got to, hey, hold on a second, I'll be right back. Here, hold on, I have to talk to this person before they leave. If you must interject, with a statement of some kind, maybe it's because the other person is talking on and on and on, and you want to say, hey, hold on a second, stop. I want to comment on what you said a few minutes ago before I lose my train of thought with that, because you're unloading so many great topics and ideas, and I want to discuss with you. Can I get a moment to get a word in edgewise here? Sometimes you got to finagle and, you got to wrestle with them verbally and mentally, because sometimes people are just excited to be at these events, and you know what? We don't want to hold it against them. But you lead by example. Show them the best way to communicate and talk. And after people have met you throughout the room, and let's say you carry on this conversational style, you're not interrupting people, you're very supportive, you ask questions, you talk in sound bites and chunks that allow people to kind of get a word in edgewise themselves, they're gonna think so much of you. Wow, it was really nice talking to Bart. I could talk to him about anything for hours, it seems like. He's really open and likes to listen. And then he's got great feedback, and then he allows me to provide my feedback. Wow, I'm definitely going to give Bart a call after this event. Yeah. Also, let people finish their own statements without you finishing them. It's exciting to want to chime in on someone's statement when you know the answer is going to be, but you're actually off. Have you had that before? You talk to somebody and you're talking and listening, and then you kind of chime in with the answer at the final end, but it's actually the wrong answer. So as much as you'd like to finish someone's statement, or you know the answer to the question, or you want to join in on the answer, don't. This is very important. And with practice, you may see the benefits of this. Allow the other person to complete their thought or sentence 100%. Practice restraint and wait your turn. When you show consideration like this, you should be able to expect the same respect in return. This is you leading by example. The problem with interruptions is the listening stops and the focus moves away from the speaker or someone who's talking to you. The person that consistently interrupts is more focused on what he or she has to say and not about what they should be listening to. Unless you both see it coming and it's in the name of fun and laughter and good times that you both might appropriately say the same thing at the very end, yeah! That's okay. That's in the name of fun and excitement. But I think you get my drift here. Let people finish their own statements without you finishing for them. Don't interrupt. Zip the lip. Hold the tongue. It'll pay off in the long run, because as you exercise this mental muscle of yours, before you know it, in future conversations, this technique is going to win you points. Maybe not in the open, but it's going to just bring benefits to you because, wow, in the old days, I used to just shoot my mouth off. I used to just overrun people's time. I used to interrupt. I used to finish it. Ever since Bart said, you know what, refrain from that. Pull back. Okay? Zip the lip. Listen 100%. Let them actually complete their sentence 100%. And don't nod and go, yeah, yeah. Don't do that either. What I have realized is I have been more able to listen and comprehend and extract more information out of somebody because I wasn't prodding them, I wasn't yanking on their chain to, yeah. They only were able to focus on their statements 100%, which means I got 100% information out of them. Wow, great technique. I'm going to zip the lip from now on. All right, cool. So, hey, remember, talk less, let others talk more. There are some people who think that everything they have to say is fascinating and they never shut up. To be a highly effective conversationalist, there must be a balance between give and take. One way to discourage a big talker is to ask them for their permission to interrupt them when you have a thought or idea that relates to what they're saying. Such as, hey, just real quick, I know you're on a roll, but do I have your permission to kind of like interrupt and stop you if I have an idea that I want to contribute, or even a question, because I don't want too long to go where I want to comment on a topic that you're familiar with because it's in the moment, and 3-5 minutes goes by and I forget it, you forget it, and it's just a wash because you're fire hosing me with your information. Now, I gave you the blunt, response there, but you get my point though, okay? This being the case, you have their permission, hopefully. They will understand, you're right, and I apologize. I'm really excited. This new product just came out. I'm so excited about it. So yes, please do cut me off, interrupt me. I would love it. I would love to answer a question, but in the meantime, I'm going to continue. Blah, 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 blah. So this being the case, if you do get their permission to infuse a statement or two eventually, you've created dialogue. If this doesn't work, then you might, like I said, be blunt about it and just say, hey, can you let me get a word in edgewise? I've actually said this on the phone to people. Like, they just fire away, and it's like, whoa. And this is other people, not you, right? All of us are guilty. I'm guilty. And I look back, like on a phone call or two, I remember I was talking to someone about something, and oh my gosh, I was the one guilty as charged, firing away the sentencing and not stopping and pausing and asking questions. So yeah, I write these books not just for you. I write them for me. It's like, Bart, don't forget to obey these rules when you engage with new people. Oh, okay, great, okay. It's like the law. These are the rules. Bylaws, Constitution. Got to follow it. Channeling conversation. Channeling means to listen intently to the other person while picking up cues, clues, and body language in order to reflect the same language patterns, maybe both verbal and physical, back to the other person for maximum communicational interaction. I'm going to say that again. That sounded pretty cool. Right back to the other person for maximum communicational interaction. For example, speaker number 1 and speaker number 2. So speaker number 1 says, hey, I'm interested in learning more about what you do, your products and services. Can you tell me about them? And the other person, who I'm just calling speaker number 2, absolutely, I'm glad to tell you about them. Which one are you most interested in? So channeling what someone else says requires that you listen intently and pick up on keywords that you can repeat back to them. This establishes an element of immediate familiarity for you and the other person, most times without them even realizing it. It's very effective. It also proves that you have been actively listening to what the other person said. Channeling takes practice, so practice often by networking often as well.